What is going on, Laker fans? What the hell is going on, Laker fans? Long time no talk. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. I know it's been a little bit since I posted a video. Did a little vacation action, so was gone for about a week or so, maybe a little bit longer than a week, and I'm back. I'm ready to go. Lakers under a month away from preseason starting. Had a few topics that I want to get into, so thank you for being a part of the show. I appreciate you guys doing that. First time on, thank you for taking the time. If you've been on this channel for many years, since I've had the channel for a long time, thank you for coming back. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed to the channel. Okay, a couple topics that I want to get into. When I was gone, I was out in Asia, went out to Japan for about a week or so. Christian Wood ends up signing with the Lakers. I want to talk about just a little bit of my thoughts of the signing and then also his role. I had Jovan Buha on my radio show yesterday. Jovan Buha covers the Lakers for The Athletic. Had some insider of what he thinks the role is going to be for Christian Wood with the Lakers. So I want to spend a little time reacting to that, how big his role is going to be. Also, most improved player. Austin Reaves is being on one of those betting websites is being talked about as one of the favorites to be most improved. I'm going to spend some time on that, what his FIBA ended up doing, and how much that's kind of changed his stock and how much people are going to be looking forward to his production this upcoming year. And then the last thing, the NBA tomorrow is going to vote. There's going to be some potential rule changes that I think could have a pretty interesting effect on the Los Angeles Lakers as they try to stop load management. So we're going to get in all that stuff. So again, thank you for being a part of the show, and let's get right into it. Christian Wood is a Los Angeles Laker. I don't know how you guys felt about that. I will say this. I like putting myself out on blast. If I'm wrong about something, or if things don't pan out the way that I would like them to pan out, or I make a statement here, I don't mind going back and just kind of circling back around and letting people know about, let's say, a month and a half ago. Remember, we're almost 2.5 months now out of free agency. Free agency was July 1st. And there was a lot of conversation and buzz after the first couple of weeks is, all right, what are the Lakers? When the dust settled, right? They already re-signed Rui and Austin Reaves and D'Angelo Russell. They went out there, got Gabe Vincent, Jackson Hayes, Torian Prince, go down the list, Cam Reddish, some of the different players that the Lakers got. And then a lot of the conversation started coming down to what are they going to do with their number 14 roster spot? And I remember there was a time before Mo Bamba. Was it Mo Bamba? I think Mo Bamba had yet to sign with Philly. Bol became available. He was available in the market. Bismack Biyombo was a name that was out there, and Christian Wood was out there. So we are kind of just distinguishing between the names that were out there. Hey, who would be the best fit for the Lakers? Who would have thought it took more than a month and a half later for Christian Wood to make a decision to come to the Los Angeles Lakers, put the Lakers in a position where they can really just take a flyer on somebody that's going to try to add some stock to his resume so that next offseason he could try to get paid. I remember at the time I said that I wanted somebody a little bit more traditional, and I thought Bismack Biyombo was a little bit more traditional. Kind of reminded me more of the Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee days. You had an athletic big man in, obviously had an athletic big man in JaVale McGee. They got an athletic big man in Jackson Hayes, even though he's going to be a project and we have no idea what he's going to be able to bring to the table. And I'm not trying to compare Dwight Howard, a Hall of Famer, to Bismack Biyombo, but only similarities would be is that both guys bang, and Bismack Biyombo is going to be more of a primarily defender / I'm going to go get some rebounds. I like the idea of a more traditional big. So at the time, that's kind of where my view was. I also didn't know how realistic Christian Wood was going to be. Laker fans, I'm sure you guys have probably seen this by now because there's been a lot of chatter around Christian Wood. Who would have known Christian Wood was going to get so many videos that were dedicated either on what I'm putting up here on my channel or, think of all the other Laker channels out there as well. A lot of different Laker platforms, specifically on YouTube. There's been a lot of Christian Wood conversation. So you kind of find out a little bit more about this player and his numbers and his stats and everything else. The dude averaged 16 points a game and 7 rebounds. That's last season with Dallas. Go look at some of the other years prior. In Houston, he averaged 18 points and 10 rebounds. That's 68 games I think he played. That's in the 2021-2022 season. Played half the season in Houston. The first half, I think he eventually got there, 21 point time. He basically had his breakout years with the Houston Rockets. You go look at his stats the last 3 years, really last 4 years too. He's putting up numbers. So the guy can play. I don't think anybody's questioned that the guy can play. The surprising thing is that a player with those types of stats shoots 51% from the field, shoots 37% from three, that he's able to have that type of stat line in the NBA. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, he's not that good of a defender. There's plenty of guys in the league who don't play all that great of defense are still getting paid. They could put the ball in the bucket. They're going to get a paycheck. That's just kind of how the NBA works. How the hell is this guy just getting the minimum? I can't, personally really find a downside because he's getting the minimum, right? So is it that big of a deal if the guy is getting the minimum? Probably not that big of a deal. What is the risk in the Lakers bringing him in? And then I went on and I read this article Jovan Buha had in The Athletic. And like I mentioned, I had Jovan on yesterday. I'm going to read a piece that he had in his article talking about what he expects from Christian Wood. And listen, when you're the 14th guy on a roster, that doesn't guarantee that most cases around the NBA, you're probably not going to be getting a lot of minutes. And oh, by the way, Lakers have a tremendous amount of depth, and Christian Wood is only going to add to that depth. They got Anthony Davis, that's obviously in the post. They got Jackson Hayes, who's a big man. They got Jared Vanderbilt, who certainly hits the glass and tries to do some work around the rim. Rui Hachimura can play on the inside, outside. LeBron James, inside, outside. They got a lot of big men that are on this team. When I say big men, I don't mean your more traditional big. I mean wings that can play the 4, play the 3, and in some cases, some of the guys that I mentioned, like Jackson Hayes and Anthony Davis, of course, play the 5 or the 4. But this is what Jovan wrote in his piece. He said, despite signing a veteran's minimum contract, Christian Wood is expected to have a considerable role for the Lakers off the bench, flanking Anthony Davis in 2 big lineups and helping hold down the paint when Davis rests. So it sounds like Darvin Ham has a specific role for Christian Wood, and it sounds like he has a specific plan for Christian Wood. And frankly, I'm sure part of the pitch to Christian Wood was like, listen, we can use you. We need you. We want to make you a part of this roster. Here's how we are going to use you. Oh, by the way, Anthony Davis, if you go look at his regular season numbers, the guy certainly misses games. So there's going to be times where Christian Wood might be a focal point on offense in some of these games from the front court perspective. There might be opportunities that he gets that, maybe he doesn't get somewhere else. Of course, we all know the exposure that the Lakers bring to the table. But I thought that was interesting from Jovan that he will play a considerable role with the Los Angeles Lakers. Leads me to believe that, obviously the Lakers are going to try to do everything they possibly can to make Christian Wood a big part of this team. Now, there's a reason why they would do that. Number one, they're not doing it because they're bored. Number one, they're doing it. A, they probably told him that that's what they're going to promise. But B is they feel like they need his offense. They feel like they need his skill set, that 16 and 7 or 16 and 8 a game that he's averaging or that he averaged last year. What if they put him in a situation where the team is good, the culture is good, there's a lot of unselfish players, there's guys that can feed you the ball like LeBron, like Gabe Vincent, like Austin Reaves, there's a D'Angelo Russell, of course, probably one of the best facilitators on the Lakers team. So you got a number of guys that can help you out and can set you up. I'm sure that has a lot to do with how the Lakers got him. The considerable role, your 14th player on your roster, to say that he's going to have a considerable role, I think just kind of shows the depth that the Lakers have. I will say this, at least from the 1 year that I've got to get a chance to cover and watch Darvin Ham from a coaching perspective, you better play defense. You better play defense. If you're not playing defense, then you're going to have trouble, I think, staying on the floor. I'll use D'Angelo Russell as an example. There were a lot of times. Now, D'Lo, a couple things hurt him in some of those postseason games. Not only was he getting torched on the defensive side, but his jumper wasn't falling. So you were more of a liability. I'm sure if his three was hitting and they had to respect him on offense, maybe he's going to get a longer leash. But Christian Wood, if one of his disadvantages is the defensive end, well, you're going to have to play some defense on this Lakers team. And here's a good thing. Here's one thing. We've heard that there is some locker room issues, some chemistry issues. I was reading a story that he was in Dallas last season, that him and Jason Kidd kind of butted heads, that he didn't really accept the role that Jason Kidd and the Dallas Mavericks wanted to have, or they planned for him to have. I'm confident that the Lakers, he's never played a playoff game in his life, that because he's going to be on a franchise where there's something to actually play for and to chase a championship. Sounds like, in one of his comments I thought, or that I saw, that he's always wanted to be a Los Angeles Laker. The fact that he has a relationship with Darvin Ham when they were in Milwaukee, the fact that LeBron James and Anthony Davis are on this team, maybe it's a perfect marriage. I don't like the fact that he's been on 8 teams in 8 years. Usually guys, if they're good locker room guys, they're making it happen, they're producing, most teams are going to want to re-sign that player. So I don't think it's the best look for Christian Wood that that's been the case, but that doesn't mean he can't create a different narrative with the Lakers. It doesn't mean that he can't use this 2-year deal with the Lakers and he's got the player option in the second year, so he can easily end up somewhere else. It doesn't mean that, obviously he can find a way to be productive with the Lakers and then go earn a nice check after this season's done, all at the same time trying to help the Lakers win an NBA championship. So that's a little bit of my thoughts on the Christian Wood signing, and then that his role, at least what it sounds like it's coming out, that he's going to have a considerable role with the Lakers, is not too surprising or shocking either, especially because AD misses time. Bron's going to be 39 years old. They need offense, and this is going to be one of those players that can provide some offense. So if you got some thoughts on this specific story, feel free to put it on the comments below. I guess just one of the questions that I would ask is your thoughts on the Christian Wood signing, and how do you think he is going to fit with the Lakers, and why do you think it's the right role on this Lakers roster? Okay, one other thing that's not on my rundown here that I'm just going to mention real quick, I thought was interesting. Part of my conversation with Jovan yesterday, we were talking about Rob Pelinka, the offseason Rob Pelinka's had, and the flexibility that the Lakers have with a lot of these contracts. And I know I've hit on that a lot, but he mentioned something. He said that, look, they got so much flexibility with these contracts that don't be surprised that by the time you get closer to the NBA trade deadline, that maybe there's a star that wants to get out of the situation that he's in, and he's the right fit or a good fit with the Lakers. Don't be surprised that the Lakers go try to, listen to offers and see what else is out there and how are there ways that they can help improve their team. And when I heard that, it made me think of Laker fans two ways. One way, it made me think of Laker fans that are pulling their hair out and saying, can we just keep a team for a full year? Can we just have a roster that can gain some continuity, can grow together? Which is, by the way, fair. I understand that. But I also think it kind of talks to the talent that's out there. The Phoenix Suns got crazy talent. The Denver Nuggets swept the Lakers. Now, granted, the Nuggets also, I thought, took a hit in the offseason. Bruce Brown gone, Jeff Green gone. I thought those were two nice pieces that they had. The Golden State Warriors, I don't know how the Chris Paul project is going to work out, but those are obviously champions. There's so many good teams in the Western Conference. I wonder that thought process of, okay, hey, let's see what this team looks like. Let's see the players that are contributing, and let's just see what happens around the NBA. And maybe there will be somebody available, and they could go improve their roster. But the flexibility I thought was interesting, and I also thought it was interesting because we're already starting that conversation of, well, what should they do at the trade deadline if something happens? So I thought that was kind of funny. I'm sure Laker fans are pulling their hair out. I can't pull my hair out, okay? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I can't pull my hair out, all right? I don't have control over that, Laker fans, NBA fans. I don't have control over that. Okay, next topic I want to get into. So, by the way, it feels really good to be back doing a episode here on the channel. Love doing this content on YouTube. I really do. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I do obviously a ton of stuff on radio and everything else that I do, but talking Lakers basketball on this channel specifically is always great to do it. Okay, so there was an Bet Online, which is one of these websites. Obviously they all got spreads and odds and highest odds to do this, highest odds to win MVP this upcoming year, highest odds to win Coach of the Year, highest odds. Whatever you can find a reason to bet on, if they think you're going to put some money on it, they're going to put it out there. This one ties directly to the Los Angeles Lakers, and it ties directly into Austin Reaves. So I'm going to read this. There was Fan Nation. I'm reading it off their website, but this was something on Bet Online. According to Bet Online, Austin Reaves is now listed with the highest odds to win the Most Improved Player of the Year award for next season. So I'm going to say it again. Bet Online, of all the players that are out there, Austin Reaves is listed with the highest odds to win the Most Improved Player of the Year award for next season. That's coming from Bet Online. I got a couple of thoughts on this. First off, listen. If you just take a step back real quick and just think about Austin Reaves and think about his trajectory over the last 2 years, think about how last season he started making a name for himself. I'm not talking about this last year. I'm talking about the year before when they went 33-49. And you think about the year that he was starting to put together. And wow, you know what? This guy's a cool story. It went from this is a cool story to it developed into, hey, why don't we get that guy some more minutes? It developed into, hey, I know he's not a starter, but can you make sure Austin Reaves is closing out games? It developed into, can you make sure Austin Reaves is starting, closing out games, and playing 35 minutes plus on the Los Angeles Lakers and not on a scrub team, on a team that got to the Western Conference Finals? Austin Reaves was clearly the Lakers' third best player, and I don't really even think it was close. He was consistent. He plays good defense. He's hard-nosed. He finds ways to get to the basket, to the free throw line, to create for himself, passes when he needs to. He's unselfish, basketball IQ, that whole package. And just think about how that has gone for 2 years to where we're sitting today. I mean, even this past summer, I thought it was the steal of the summer of 4 years, $56 million are going to Austin Reaves. I saw Dylan Brooks grab 80. I saw Fred VanVleet, awesome player, nice player, grab 130, I think for 3 years. He didn't even do 4 years. I saw some other contracts that were out there. I mean, Rui's making 4 years, 51, or 3 years, 51. He's almost making the same amount of money as Austin Reaves, and he's getting it in 3 years, while Austin Reaves is spread out to 4 years. I think I did a episode here where I talked about the San Antonio Spurs were contemplating and probably regretting not trying to offer him an $80 or $100 million contract. Even if you're going to make the Lakers just match it, you would have thought one of those teams that had cap space, it was worth the risk for them to do it. He's had a tremendous offseason. He's got great value. We just watched him in the FIBA USA, who's got, listen, FIBA USA, I know they didn't medal, and I know they ended up fourth place, all that stuff, but look who's on that team. Tyrese Halliburton's on that team. Jalen Brunson's a nice player. Anthony Edwards is on the squad. They got good players, and there's Austin Reaves that is closing out games and is a key player coming off the bench for that team. So he's had an amazing offseason. He had an amazing season, and now Austin Reaves, he's the favorite to win the Most Improved Player award for next season, according to Bet Online. I thought that was cool, and I wanted to point that out because it is unique and it is a Los Angeles Lakers, so why not point it out? Okay, last thing I got here. Something's going down tomorrow, and we're still waiting to kind of get some of the details here, but something that could affect the Los Angeles Lakers. I want to read a couple tweets here that came out yesterday, and the tweets are about some rule changes that could be going down in the NBA, and the tweets could have a significant, I don't know if significant is the right word. I don't want to sound too dramatic on this one, but I think it could definitely have an effect on the Lakers specifically. So I'm going to read a tweet from Adrian Wojnarowski. He said, ESPN sources, the NBA's competition committee has recommended stricter guidelines on resting players for national television games and multiple stars together in the same games. The league's board of governors expected to vote Wednesday to pass the measures. Under the new rules, teams would be fined $100K for a first violation, $250K for a second violation, and $1 million more than the previous penalty for each additional violation, sources tell ESPN. Let me sum this up for you real quick. Basically, what the NBA is trying to do, and really they're trying to just appease their television partners, which is ESPN, which is TNT. I don't think NBA TV falls into the mix in this. But basically, the companies that have the rights fees to carry the NBA games, what they're saying is, look, we can't have an NBA game where we're promoting a nationally televised game and it's coming up on a Sunday and it's at 12:30 and the Golden State Warriors are sitting 3 of their 4 stars, or the Lakers are sitting LeBron and Anthony Davis on I'll just use as an example, it's a second of a back-to-back, but the game is in Brooklyn and it's nationally televised. Just, again, random examples. Or the Boston Celtics are sitting Tatum and Brown. They're trying to stop load management. I'm not against them trying to stop load management. The problem with these rules is it's not apples to apples. Shams Charania put out a tweet as well. He said, current discussions among the league and team personnel indicate that a star player is defined as anyone who has made an all-star or all-NBA team in the previous 3 seasons. The Lakers obviously have Anthony Davis and LeBron James. The other problem is it's not apples to apples. Lakers have 2 stars. They're obviously going to apply to that. So how are you going to juggle that, number one? And number two, it's not apples to apples of how many nationally televised games every team has. The Lakers have 27 nationally televised games coming up this upcoming year. Okay, well, what if let me use a team. What if the Portland Trailblazers only have 3 nationally televised games? That means the chances and the risk of the Lakers getting into one of these penalties or having to play LeBron James and Anthony Davis in potentially a game that they thought, hey, we need to rest these guys on this game because it's an 82-game schedule. We know that Anthony Davis has been injury prone. LeBron's about to be age 39. This is not a fair and balanced type of rule. So I got issues with it for the only perspective that I don't think it's fair all the way across the board. If a rule changes tomorrow and they say, hey, you can't flop anymore, well, it doesn't matter. It applies to every team. There's no favoritism towards that. If a player on the Lakers flops, okay, they're going to review it. You get a technical, blah, 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 whatever the rule is. This is not apples to apples. So I don't know how they're going to apply this. I don't know how they're going to determine if Anthony Davis says, I got a sore ankle. How are you going to know whether Anthony Davis has a sore ankle or not? So I find this a little bit odd. I'm not opposed to, certainly not opposed to finding ways to stop load management, finding ways to make sure that a fan that pays his hard-earned dollars to go watch Steph Curry gets to see Steph Curry, or doesn't find out right until the game that Steph Curry's not playing, or Bron, or AD, or Joel Embiid, or Giannis. You go pick the superstar that you want. But I think for the Lakers, they're at a disadvantage of this because they have 2 stars that meet that criteria, number one. One of them is injury prone, and the other one is going to be 39 years old. And the other problem is you have a lot more nationally televised games than most of the other teams out there. So how they apply this, how they figure it out, I have no idea, but I'm not too crazy about it. It doesn't really do much for me. I don't feel like this is going to change the way the methodology works, but also on the other side of it, you can't have harsher guidelines to certain teams because they're in a bigger market, or maybe they're just more popular, or because they have a star player. Now, I know what the NBA is going to say. We're trying to run a business, so put your damn star players in the game so we can make sure that our partners are happy, our advertisers are happy, that the fans are happy, all that stuff. That part I don't disagree with. The issue is how are you going to determine which player actually needs a day off because he's got a sore back or this or whatever the case is, or if they're just trying to load manage that player. So I don't know how that's going to work. I think that's interesting. I was not expecting a rule like that, but I guess tomorrow they're going to vote on it. So we're going to find out here sooner than later. Okay, Laker fans, that's what I got for today. Christian Wood's role sounds like it's going to be a considerable role, I guess is the best way to put it. Austin Reaves, the favorite to win the Most Improved Player Award. And the NBA's got some rule changes going down tomorrow that could affect the Los Angeles Lakers. So there you have it. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Thanks, Laker fans.